United States involvement in World War I. In this lecture, I'm going to address um, the Virginia SOL US 2.5C, where students will show and demonstrate knowledge of the changing role of the United States from the late 19th century through World War I, and specifically to this lecture, explain the reasons for U.S. involvement in World War I and its international leadership role at the conclusion of the war. Some essential questions I would like you to consider while taking notes and listening to this lecture are: what were the reasons for the United States becoming involved in World War I? Who were the Allies? Who were the Central Powers? And in what ways did the United States provide leadership at the conclusion of the war? Now, America's path to war begins in May of 1915. In its campaign of unrestricted submarine warfare, Germany sank the British passenger ship Lusitania. Nearly 1,200 people died, including 128 Americans. President Wilson demanded that Germany stop such attacks, and Germany agreed not to attack without warning. Now, in 1916, Wilson was re-elected based on his policy of neutrality. In fact, one of the campaign slogans was, "He kept us out of war." However, in February of 1917, Germany resumes unrestricted submarine warfare. In March of 1917, a telegram was intercepted from German Foreign Minister Zimmermann to the German ambassador in Mexico. The telegram said that Germany would help Mexico regain territory lost to the United States if Mexico would fight against the United States. March, also that month, Germany sank 3 American ships. April 2nd, 1917, President Wilson asks Congress to declare war on Germany, and Congress approves the request. So the United States gets involved in the war. Now, the major powers of the war included the major Allied powers, which were the British Empire, or Great Britain, France, Russia, or the Russian Empire, which was in the war from 1914 to 1917. They actually leave the month before the United States gets involved. Serbia, Belgium, and the United States, and to an extent Italy as well. The Central Powers included the German Empire, or Germany, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, or Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire. Now, U.S. leadership after the war with the United States in there gave the Allies the push they needed to force the Germans to agree to an armistice, or ceasefire, which they agreed to in a train car in the forest. Eventually, they meet, they sign an armistice, the war ends November 11th, so the 11th month of, and the 11th day and the 11th hour, the fighting ends in the war. At the end of World War I, President Woodrow Wilson prepares a peace plan known as the 14 Points, which called for the formation of the League of Nations, which would be a peacekeeping organization to prevent further wars. That is the only thing, though, that the other Allied powers agree to. In fact, they think the United States has really no right to tell them how the peace should be conducted, given the fact that the United States had not lost nearly as many people as they had. Well, Wilson tried his best to at least get what he could from his 14 points. It just didn't work very well. Too many other interests, but he does get the League of Nations through at the Versailles Conference. Well, the United States decided ultimately not to join the League of Nations because the United States Senate failed to ratify the treaty. So the United States stays out of the League of Nations. So in summary, the United States' involvement in World War I ended a long tradition of avoiding involvement in European conflicts and set the stage for the United States to emerge as a global superpower later in the 20th century. There would be disagreements about the extent to which the United States should participate in world affairs. So this is the conclusion of this lecture, and make sure that you have taken notes so that you can use them on the quick check in class. Thanks.